Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios, brought to you by official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson's The Missing, also brought to you by Illuminical, the think tank of the future, the Sweet Psalms by Serena Wagner, based on the life of King David, now on Amazon, keyword Sweet Psalms Serena Wagner, also Heidi Tam Music, check out our latest at HeidiTamMusic.com. He's backed by popular man, multi-talented singer, lead guitarist, and vocalist, and leader of a wonderful group from Spectra Music, from the Central Virginia area, basically Americana country from Richmond, Virginia. Technically, he has numerous followers on Spotify, YouTube, and numerous platforms, and feature on Sirius XM, BBC Radio, and other stations throughout the U.S. We talked about sticking to it, and he's still sticking to it. And now we'll go from sticking to it to that big orange guitar. And what is that big orange guitar? We'll find out just 1 minute. Live, ladies and gentlemen, at Plus Studios in somewhere in beautiful Richmond, Virginia, the amazing multi-talented singer, lead guitarist, vocalist, and leader of Brickwall Jackson from Central Virginia, Spectra Music. Previously sticking to it. Now he's got that big orange guitar. Ladies and gentlemen, the multi-talented John Hudak from Brickwall Jackson. John, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us once again.
Mike, it's so wonderful to talk to you again, man. I had a great time last time we talked, man. I was so jazzed about this. I couldn't wait.
Well, it's great to have you on as well, too. So looking forward to what you got. And of course, we left off your multi-talented singer, lead guitarist, vocalist, and leader of Brickwall Jackson from Central Virginia, basically out of Richmond, Americana country. You have numerous
Yeah.
followers on Spotify, YouTube, numerous platforms, feature on Sirius XM, BBC Radio, and other stations throughout the U.S. You also did Stick Into It. We talked about that in a couple of songs. And now you've got that big orange guitar. We'll be playing Port Swings and Son of Many Fathers and More. And before getting on it, John, once again, give a very quick recap on how you got started.
Well, I mean, I've been playing music since I was a little kid, and I mean, pretty much if it's got strings on it, I can play it. Some better than others, but I've always been hearing music in my head, and so I just got to a point at a certain point where I needed to be able to get it out, and it's been a healing thing ever since. At times, it's been the only thing that's ever brought me peace, and it's definitely been my constant companion ever since. So, and I feel incredibly blessed to be able to do it. And there's a lot I didn't realize until after I'd been doing it for a number of years that my grandmother, my mother's mother, had right before World War II, she had gotten accepted to Juilliard School of Music. Now she wasn't able to
Mm.
go. The war came. She married my grandfather, and there wasn't money or time or anything like that. But um, so it's in on both sides of the family. My dad's uncles all played like mandolins and guitars and stuff like that. So it's kind of been, I got zapped basically. So yeah. And then as far as Brickwall Jackson goes, it was born out of I had been playing in cover bands for years, and I just got tired of it, and I started to go back. I mean, I had always been writing songs, but I didn't have the gumption to play them in front of other people. I was
Hmm.
very, very shy about that because my songs are very, I mean, personal, not necessarily autobiographical, but they talk about, human emotions and, just being human in this world. That's all the subject matter in my songs it's got something to do with, a part of the journey of, being either, specifically being a man, growing into a man, or just being a person, in love or hurting because you lost somebody, whatever. And so I was very, very shy about because to say that's kind of personal stuff, and especially when you're like, teenager. I used to have Peter Frampton hair, or
Oh,
really
yeah, I
long hair. Oh
remember
yeah,
that. Yeah,
I had
baby,
really
we
long
love
hair.
your way. I remember that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. I had really long hair and trying to represent and be, the snarling rocker and so you didn't play stuff like that. But then I got a little older and I got tired of playing cover bands, man. And I was like, well, I got all these songs and actually, I didn't really use any of the old ones. I just started writing newer ones. And, I found that I had a lot of life experience. And so I started just dumping all that into the songs. And the band that I was in at the time didn't want to do that. They were still, well, we can play like one original a night. I was like, no, man, we should let's just go for it. They didn't want to do it. So eventually I found some people who did want to do it, and it kind of went from there. And here we are 4 albums later. You know, and if you'd have told me, a couple of years ago that I'd be, I'd have a record contract with Spectra Music Group, or that I would be talking to you, or watching our stuff go up on Spotify, which with this record is happening now finally. I wouldn't have believed it, but I just feel incredibly blessed to be able to do it.
And certainly
So
indeed too. And we had you on with Sticking to It, and tell us about that and give
yep.
us an update on Sticking to It.
Well, Sticking to It was the one that got us the deal with Spectra, and apparently, they really liked the song "Gun Truck," which you played last time we talked.
I
And
remember that. That was a good
that
one.
was,
Loved it.
yeah, that's the one I wrote about my uncle's experiences in Vietnam. And that one still, I think, until this week, was the most streamed and downloaded from like iTunes and stuff
Oh
song
wow.
in the whole catalog. And I mean, but prior to that, we were self-funded. I mean, we always did things professionally. Like the first record was recorded in Nashville, but I was paying for it. So it wasn't like we had any big corporate backers. I mean, we're definitely indie in the true sense of the word.
Just like
And
many of us. You're right.
oh yeah, it's been great. But the cool thing about it is that you don't have uh a master that you have to ask permission from to publish your music or to write it the way that you want. Now though, the new record, Big Orange Guitar, is actually taken off, and I think for me, it's been well, that it's certainly been a labor of love. This whole thing has been a learning experience for me, where I had to find my voice. I think we were talking before the interview, that our female singer had left the band to move to Florida with her family, and we were trying to find I was trying to find somebody to replace her. And the other guys in the band were like, dude, don't worry about it. You sing them. You're writing them anyway, so you sing them. And I was like, no, man, I don't want to do that. But it's kind of like that maturity that needs to happen. And I think I was telling you, my bass player was like, look, you're the songwriter. And because of the nature of your songs, you're going to know how to deliver them because you know what you meant. You know what you were feeling when you wrote them. And people will respond to that. And he reminded me that the only two hits that we've ever had, Gun Truck and on the record before that with House of Freaks, were ones that I sang, because usually I would sing about a half to two-thirds of the material, and Susie, our singer, would sing the rest and then back me up on harmony vocals and whatnot. But the only two songs that stood out were the ones that I sang, even though I wrote them all. And you, at a certain point, you have to get over it's not false modesty. In my case, it was sheer abject terror. To go out and say, right, it's a common theme, right? So first I had to get over the fear of kind of bearing my soul through my lyrics. And you put yourself out there, and there's a very real possibility you could be rejected. That didn't happen, thank God. But then the next step was, all right, well, you're writing them, and the emotion that's behind it, whether it's an autobiographical song or not, because they're not all autobiographical.
hmm
So you need to sing them because people are going to feel that. And people have been telling me that for years, and I wasn't listening because I was just so insecure. And this record now is doing better than the other three, and it's not because I'm such a great vocalist. I mean, I'm not trained at all,
hmm
but it's because if a certain part of a song needs a little more grunt or a little more emotion or a little more push or whatever, I'm just going to do it because I wrote it, and that's what I'm trying to get. I'm trying to convey, right? And it would be different if the stuff that we do was more, pop type stuff, where you've got to have this operatic, and I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying that if we did that, and you'd have to have this operatic vocal range, but it's not. It's they call us Americana, because they don't know what else to call us. But
Right.
it's
Or
a
just simply just sing it like it is. You don't have to have an operatic
yeah,
range. Just sing it like it is. It's just,
right, yeah, you got it. That's it.
unrefined, gritty, and everything like that. It's like just
Yeah,
sing it as is.
and yeah, right, because all my songs tell a story. And so you know that was something that my bass player told me. He said, look, dude, just you're a storyteller, so tell the story. And don't worry about being the best vocalist out there, because there are people out there who are professional vocalists, and they're amazing.
hmm
And I think you and I talked a little earlier about, nobody really likes to hear the sound of their own voice, right? Like
Right. Just like many of us,
right,
including
yeah,
me. I bare my
yeah,
soul out there. it's like once a podcast is done, it's like I
Right.
let someone else listen to it. I don't want to listen to myself again.
But
No.
see, like I don't like I think I was telling you, I think your voice is great for what it's perfect for what you do, and it doesn't it's nice to listen to, right? So, but you don't think that because you hear it all the time, right? So that's and I've
Correct.
talked to
Correct.
many
Yeah.
people.
Sometimes I hear my wife too more than I hear myself. So and the
Right,
dog. So my
right,
kids.
right. Yeah, but so that that was a big hurdle for me. And I'm sure if I don't know how many of your listeners are musicians, but I'm sure they could probably relate. That it's that is a very difficult transition to make if that's not your thing. If you're the songwriter, the guitar player, or whatever, but you're not really the singer, you know, it's very difficult to make that. At least was for me, and I've heard other people, it's difficult for them as well. So, but now what's happened is this record, the name of the new record is Big Orange Guitar. It came out in March on March 22nd,
Mm-hmm.
and as always, I wrote all the songs, but now I'm singing them all. So the other thing we had to do was we had to go and get another guitar player to back me up because before if I was only singing half of the material in a set and Susie was singing all of it or the other half, right? I could lay back for half the set and play guitar and sing harmony vocals, but now it's like, nope, you're it, pal. So you gotta handle it, Bubba. And it was wearing me out. We played a gig in Urbana, Virginia, back in June, and it felt like we were on the surface of the sun. It was an outdoor gig. It was hot.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I did all right through the first 2/3 of the set. We played for 2 hours. But the last third of the set, I was out of breath. And I did not have a sore throat, but I was out of breath. I was like, all right, I got to start pacing myself. So, got a really good friend of mine who's an amazing guitar player. Actually, was my very first guitar teacher. Um, and we got him in the group now as the other guitar player. So we're really enjoying that. So that's changed. But it's funny. It's really weird. It hasn't changed the sound any at all. It still sounds like Brickwall Jackson. So I guess that's my fault. So
But of course too that you also made some great waves as well too. We'll talk about Port Swing, Son of Many Fathers. We'll play at the end of the audio
yeah.
and more with John Hudak of Brickwall Jackson with Big Orange Guitar. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those who love you to first go missing. It's available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has garnered great reviews. In Evil Evidence endorsed by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forge Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today. Virgo's Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon. Also, the Mike Wagner Show is brought to you by Elliptical, the human think tank of the future, brings scientists and engineers together from all over the world, creating a method to construct a renewable generator. With this unique product, operates on a closed loop system, generating more energy internally than it needs to function. This extra electricity can be used to run everything from homes, power grids, to laptops and cell phones. This power source is renewable, highly scalable, and more importantly, self-regenerating. For more information, visit facebook.com/Elliptical. That's ELLUMENIPTICAL. Also, Mike Wagner Show is brought to you by A Sweet Psalmist by Serena Wagner, based on the life of King David, including 30 exquisite paintings in King David's Psalms. The Sweet Psalmist gives a new perspective on the life of David through the Psalms he wrote and his time as a shepherd, where it started, and his complicated yet turbulent relationship with King Saul. Is a story of love, betrayal, repentance, and more. Check out Sweet Psalmist by Serena Wagner on Amazon. Keyword Sweet Psalmist Serena Wagner. Also brought to you by Hi-Tan Music, featuring smash hit Baby Comeback and new music coming soon. Check it out. Listen for details at hightanmusic.com. Also, take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device at the MikeWagnerShow.com, on 40 podcast platforms and heard 100 countries. And for great gift ideas 24/7, go to Amazon.com. Check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. T-shirts, pop sockets, throw pillows, tote bags, hoodies. Makes great gifts 24/7. Go to Amazon.com. check out the MikeWagnerShow.com. And also, if you're interested, you can also message me at the MikeWagnerShow.com. And also, you can also check out merchandise and great books from me and Molson Zia on Amazon as well. Also, support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. We're here with the multi-talented lead singer, lead guitarist, vocalist, and leader of Brickwall Jackson from Central Virginia, John Hudak of Brickwall Jackson here on the Mike Wagner Show. And going from sticking to it to that big orange guitar, let's talk about a couple of songs we'll be playing at the end of the audio review. We encourage everybody to do that. Porch Swings and Son of Many Fathers. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, which one do you want to start with, Mike?
Let's do the Porch Swings first of all.
Okay. Well, that song. So, all right. So, my uncle passed away during COVID. He had cancer, so it wasn't COVID that took him, but because of that, though, and because of the lockdowns, I wasn't able to go see him. And my cousin, his daughter was at first was only able to see him. They wouldn't let them into the hospice care where he was. So they had to stand outside the window outside the building and wave at him, and it was horrible. And I, at that time, of course, we had just done a live podcast where we played a couple of our songs live, and then everything stopped, and we weren't able to play any shows, and the whole world stopped. I mean, we all lived through it. It was awful. And for someone like me who's, for me, love is the most important thing in the world, and relationships with the people we care about, people we love. I mean, there's nothing worth more than that, And so to suddenly be cut off from all that was god awful. And right around the time that I thought that everything was over, and this was actually prior to the interview that you and I did last year, I suddenly started getting emails from Spectra Music Group, and I was like, "This is weird, man." I every time I think things are over and it's not going to progress any further, there's something will happen, and it's like the universe or God, Yahweh, Carl Sagan, the Great Spirit, whatever you believe in, is saying, "Nope, you're not done yet. Keep going." And I felt so overwhelmed with gratitude that I wrote the song Porch Swings about, how I felt about my friends and my family, the people I love. And it's just an expression of love to the people I care about, and which includes Brickwall Jackson fans. When we played our first show that since COVID, when the heck was that? Last year. And I forget when the heck it was. Doesn't matter. Actually, was it this year? I don't know. It was in May, is all I know. It was either this year or last year. And when we got up there to play, it was a sold out crowd, which, and these were people that had stuck with us, and I just told them I was barely able to contain my emotion. And I said, I wrote this for y'all, and we played it. And it was very organic, emotional moment. And so I'm really attached to that song. And it came together so quickly. It was one of those ones that sometimes it takes a while to write a song. That one just came right out. I just, and that one was the first one that I wrote, and had written in a while, and it kicked everything back into gear. And before I knew it, I had, 9 more, and we were in the studio, recording Big Orange Guitar, which is the name of the record. And it's kind of went from there. So that song's special, but it really is. It's about love and friendship, and just the importance of relationships with the people that we love, and how we don't know when we're going to be called home.
Right.
And we
Yeah.
should
And of
make them,
course, in this day and age, you never know with all the
that's right.
the celebrity deaths and everything going on. It's like, yeah, you never know what's going to happen, especially our age group and whatever else. It's like you don't take it for granted. You're right.
Yeah, any age group, man. I mentioned Susie Mojo, our former singer, um, who she had, moved to Florida to live her best life, and she just passed away back in June,
Oh, wow.
and suddenly of a heart attack. Yeah, and it 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 made everything certainly more poignant, with respect to that song. And um, she was very young, got two little girls, and we
Wow.
all of us were all still friends. And yeah, so that was very, very sad. And yeah, but it just goes to show you that, there's a line in the song that says, time won't wait and we don't have that long. And it just underscored that. So
Hmm.
I always try to, but I make double damn sure I kiss my wife every night when I go to bed and tell her I love her. Like, and sometimes I give her a little grief of like, you're gonna miss me when I'm gone.
Oh, you got that right. And of course,
Uh,
it happened as well, too. So you also got
yeah.
Pork Springs, also son of many fathers. And tell us more about that.
So Son of Many Fathers is also, again, so probably there's more of me directly on this record than the other three. The other three would be an amalgamation. The first record was a lot of stuff that had happened to me, but this record has more of my musings and my inner thoughts on life. And so what Son of Many Fathers is about, it's a song actually I've wanted to write for a long time, but I didn't know how. So what happens to me, and I've heard other songwriters say the same thing, that I'll get an idea, I'll be like, man, I would love to write about that. I would love, because I feel like I've got something to say about that, or it
Hmm.
means something to me, or it's important to me. But I don't know how. How do I treat it? What do I do? How do I? Is it a slow song? Is it a fast song? What is it? And throughout my life, I have a father. Okay, very good father. I say my dad's still with me. I love my dad. I love both my parents very, very much. And I'm the luckiest guy in the world to have the parents I've got, and it feels really good to say that, because I know other people are going to hear that, and I'm going to play my mom this interview, once I get a copy of it, and I want her to know, and my dad, that this is how your son talks about you. It's important to
Hmm.
me because they've given me so much, including ass whippings when I needed it, because I needed more than I
I think
needed
that's
more
the
than a
one thing
few.
that's lacking in this world is ass whipping. It's like
You ain't
that's
kidding.
gotta come back. It's been stockpiling on reserve for too long.
Let me tell you, brother, a couple of mine were biblical, but I deserved every bit of it. Um, but yeah, so but um, throughout my life, I have been the beneficiary of a lot of kindness, a lot of mentorship, and just help from from uh, more experienced men who didn't have to. Right? It could be a boss, a coach, a guitar teacher, whatever. People who, you know, in particular men who said, "Hey, young buck, I'm going to give you a hand here. Don't say that. Don't do that. Or do it this way. Or, hey, man, we don't act like that." I've got a very dear friend. I call him Uncle Bert. But I met him when I was 16 years old, and he kind of took me under his wing because he could tell that I was a little rough around the edges.
Hmm.
And he really has been one of my, uh, you know, biggest supporters, a great source of wisdom, um, and just good old fashioned down home wisdom. I mean, stuff that where it's like, you know, if it works, great. If it don't work, get rid of it. I mean, he's always been there for me, and you know, and a friend of his who I mentioned in the song, first verse, John Trimmer. He unfortunately passed away. He was a really gifted guitar player, and I had gotten thrown out of one of the. I was very young. I got thrown out of one of the first bands I was in because I was loud, sloppy, and just really just beating on it like it owed me
Oh, getting
money.
the yayas out pretty much.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, man, for sure. Yeah, and John actually, and I was at the music store he worked at, and he saw I was kind of down. He's like, "Hey man," he's like, "Hey man," because he had this really cool, slick way of talking. He's like, "What's going on, man? What's wrong, John?" I said, "Oh man, I got thrown out of my band." And anyway, he sat me down and showed me some chicken picking licks, and I was like, "Oh man, that sounds awesome!" And it completely changed my path and set me on the right path. And then I started getting, I practiced up. I started getting gigs, and And so where I'm going with this, long story short, or short story long, it's you ought to know
Either
by now,
way.
Mike. If you ask me a question, I'm going to go tell you to tell me to shut up. But the song is about all of the men who augmented what my father taught me. My father taught me a lot of really great stuff. I mean, my dad, the three core things my dad taught me was you finish the job, there's no excuse for a thief, and your word is your bond, right? And he hammered that into me, sometimes literally, like, hey, stupid. But these other men out there, uh, you know, helped to build on what my father, taught me. And John Trimmer was one of them. There's another fellow I mentioned in the song in the second verse, fellow named Mark Van Rokel. He
Hmm.
passed away as well, and I don't know what it was that caused me to finally be able to write this song. I think I was actually thinking about Mark. Mark was a very gifted harmonica player, in addition to being a really great, boss. I worked for him for a number of years, and he helped, mold me in some ways and helped shave off some of the rough edges. I was very young; I was in my 20s, and he expected a lot of me, but he knew I could do it, and so he was that kind of a mentor. But he was also just one hell of a musician. And on sticking to it, there is a song on there called "Who's Gonna Love You,"
Hmm.
and there's this really, as the one of the reviewers said, blistering harmonica at the beginning, right? But that was actually supposed to be Mark. I ended up playing it, but Mark passed away before I could call him and ask him to
Okay.
do that. Yeah. And so basically the song "Son of Many Fathers" is a way of paying tribute to all of the mentors, the coaches, the surrogate big brothers, the older, more experienced men who took the time to show a young guy the ropes, and it's my way of saying, hey fellas, thank you, you know. And I do believe in karma, and because of the kindness and the support and the help that I received from these folks over the years, um, I try to give it back. And that's why at the end of the song, the last thing I sing is, I give it back every day, just like y'all taught me,
Hmm.
and it's very important to me to do that. I feel like I owe the universe a debt for the beautiful people who have, for no reason, and come to my aid when I needed it. That's always fascinated me.
Hmm.
And so that song for me is probably at least as emotional, if not more so, than the other that we talked about, Porch Swings. Because man, I mean, people talk rather cavalierly and doesn't get a lot of press nowadays because I guess you know, it's not popular, or it's not, it's been denigrated or whatever. But to truly become a man is a lifelong journey, and it ain't easy.
Hmm.
And we hear an awful lot about womanhood and all that, and that's fine. I mean, that's, again, I have been the beneficiary as well. My mother, my grandmother, and my two aunts, my mom's sisters, are the friggin' greatest in the world, you know, and I love them all very dearly, and I learned a lot from them as well. Um, but there's something about that journey that you're on, as a young man, that, and I'm sure that women probably have similar states of confusion that they're in, like, what do I do? But you sometimes can feel very conflicted and very unsure, and it's terrifying at times,
Hmm.
especially
Like
when
a
you're trying to
first
make your way in
time,
the
don't
world.
know what to do, and everything like
Yeah,
that. I know what you mean.
yeah, man, it's your first real job, and you're not really sure how to act, what to say, and yeah, or it's your first gig, or it's your first really big gig, if you're a musician, and you don't really know, and if you're lucky, like I have been, you got people like John Trimmer, right? Like Mark Van Roekel, like
Hmm.
Burt Morgan, like Dan Schubert, like Dave Wilson, like, like Mark Sowers, like all these, I could go on and on, all these guys that who took the time to you know, to help me out, to give me a little bit of advice, to say, hey, man. And sometimes, it was like, hey, no, we don't act like that. Or no, why did you say that? Or hey, dude, no, that's not the way to do that. It wasn't always, this, yeah, this fatherly, let me explain this to you, son. Sometimes it was,
Right,
hey, shut
exactly.
up.
Different generation, everything like that. Nowadays, it's
Yeah.
almost like, man, let the boys don't pretty much do whatever they want. It's like, do what you want society.
Well, they didn't when I was growing up. I mean, and it was more of a community, right? It was like, hey, you're being a jackass, cut it out, you know. And so, but the way I took it, and the way and at the time, I was embarrassed, and I would feel if I gotten corrected by one of these guys, I was embarrassed, but not angry at them. And as I've gotten older, I've become humbled and grateful, uh, because they were willing, that they thought enough of me, they cared enough about me as a person to correct me, you
Hmm.
know. And so when I think back on, and I just gave you a smattering of names, um, of people, and some of them are in my band, right
Uh-huh.
now. So I'm playing in a band with my heroes, Um, but that's why son of many fathers, Originally the title was gonna be son of a thousand fathers, but I didn't feel like, I was like, well, I can't, you know.
Or 1K or something like that. Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like, the name of the album is Big Orange Guitar, and it's like the first thing I thought of was, well, nothing rhymes with orange, so I'm gonna have to do something else with that. But anyway,
Right, yeah, and
so
and that's one of the tracks I like to talk about. Talk about the title track. Plus, if there's other songs you want to talk
yeah,
about for the album, feel free to do so, especially the title
yeah,
track.
man. Well, Big Orange Guitar is, well, of course, I play Gretsch guitars, and so that was kind of a shoe in. But that song I wrote, so the governor in Virginia had lifted the mask restriction and said, "Nah, we're out of the woods now," and so I went, I got admonished when I went to the post office one day, and it really pissed me off because they were in there wrapped in plastic and wearing gas masks and oven mitts, and I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
I just want to mail a freaking letter, man. Well, actually, it was a package. So I got so pissed off, I left, and and I went over to FedEx, and it was open for business, and everybody was happy and cheerful. But I was I was still so pissed off. I sat there in my Jeep, in front of FedEx, and wrote the lyrics. And basically, Big Orange Guitar, is a song. I mean, the refrain is, basically, you can kiss both sides of my big old orange guitar. Sometimes, if you put somebody in a box, you tell them you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't go here, you can't say this, you can't say that. You're not allowed. Da, 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 da. After a while, it's like, oh man, y'all can all go straight to hell. You know.
Exactly, you're right. Who needs to follow the rules? It's like,
Yeah, well, it's you just get tired of somebody up in your business all the time, and it's like, man, I ain't hurting nobody, right? And
right.
and 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 I ain't looking for trouble. Get up out of my face, and that's really what that song is about. And it's just sort of, it's a big old musical middle finger. Um, Good
I
old
wish you had
fashioned
that big
American
orange guitar
yeehaw.
in front of you. I can imagine right now. I wish that was right in front of you. I mean, I think we're ready to go. I'm ready to go get one right now.
Hey man, so yeah, and I got a couple of them now. So I was like, well, you know what? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So yeah, Big Orange Guitar. And there's other songs on there too. But again, there's probably a lot more of me on this record, directly than the others. I mean, the other records, there were things in there about, um, you know, that I had, my music's on things that I had observed. But there's this record, and this is why they call us Americana. Every Brickwall Jackson record, no two songs sound the same, and that's not necessarily by design, but I can see why it would happen because each story that I'm telling is different, right? And so it's kind of like if you're telling jokes, man. Each joke requires a different, you know,
Hmm.
um, each kind of joke requires a different storytelling technique, or whatever you want to call it. But there's a song on there, that is more like an Irish drinking song, and it's called "The Bricks." And the reason that it's called "The Bricks" is because, and what the song is about is, as I alluded to earlier, it seems like every time things would stop, or I would think that things were done, if we just use Brickwall Jackson as an example, there have been multiple times where something will happen. Somebody will leave, will lose access to a facility, or something will happen, COVID, whatever. And I think that's it. It's done. It was a good run, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, something is presented, and it's a sign that no, you're not done yet, man. Keep going.
You got
And
that right.
the way I liken it is that you're on a brick path, right? And you're walking this, really pretty path, and you see up ahead that it drops off,
Mm-hmm.
and you start worrying, and you're like, "Oh man, what am I going to do when I get up there? I can't go any further, and there's not going to be a place to go." And suddenly, when you get there to the end, somebody, right, has magically laid more bricks for you, and it's it's very allegorical. It's about faith, and it's about how, look, just enjoy the ride, because you can only plan for but so much. And when you get to the point where maybe you think the path ends, something could occur to you, or something could happen, and you'll be able to keep going on your way. So
Mm-hmm.
don't waste too much of your time now worrying about stuff that's down the other side of the path, because you don't know what's going to happen when you get down there.
Right,
And more
exactly.
often than not, you're going to get there, and there will be more bricks for you, and you can just keep on. So that's why it's called the bricks. And so it just basically talks about the stress of living and being scared, and you know um it's that song is. So I was able to get a lot of my, I think, visually, and on this record I was able to get a lot of that out. So I'm real happy with the way the tunes came together on this record, and in particular, like "Son of Many Fathers." That song is very triumphant. The music, as you'll hear when you listen to it, but and it should be, right, because it's like, yeah, man, I'm a lucky guy. All these dudes popped out of nowhere and they helped me out, and hell yeah, and thanks, fellas. Really, that's what that song is. Thanks, y'all.
Mm-hmm. And
Right.
thank you as well too. And where can we find your latest release and all your works at, John?
You can get them, obviously, Spotify, iTunes, Pandora, iHeartRadio. We're on Amazon, all of that stuff. And then also brickwalljackson.com for all the news and the latest and photographs. And we actually have a video coming out tomorrow, as a matter of fact, for Son of Many Fathers. That will be on our YouTube channel. Um, so that'll be cool. You get a chance to look at our goofy faces. Um, so that'll
We're
be cool.
certainly looking forward to as well, John. We're here with John Hudak of Brickwall Jackson here on the Mike Wagner Show from Spectra Music with Big Orange Guitar. And just one more thing, what else can we expect from you in 2024 and beyond? What's coming up afterwards?
Well, so we're gonna shoot some more videos. One thing I should mention: there's a song on the record called "May You Remain,"
Mm-hmm.
and two things about that song. Number one, it's the most emotional song I've ever done, because it is a song for my children. May you remain, and basically what it's espousing is, I hope that you remain who you are. Like, don't let the world change you, because you're fine the way you are. There's a
Right,
place for
exactly.
you. Don't let anyone tell you that you're not okay as who you are. And so that's one thing. But the other thing is, it's got the absolute longest guitar solo that I've ever played in my life. So at the end, and it's very different from anything else we've ever done. But we'll be doing a video for that as soon as the leaves start falling. We've already picked out a location for that. We're going to be at the Tin Pan in Richmond, Virginia, on January 18th, and we're booking other gigs now as well. So you just stay tuned to the website. If you want to get in touch with us, it's artist relations at spectramusicgroup.com, or you can hit us up at info at brickwalljackson.com on the website. Whatever works better for you. And we try to respond to all emails. We get a lot, but we try to respond to all of them. So yeah, and you mentioned BBC. Man, you could have knocked me over with a feather when I found out our stuff was on BBC radio. I was like, oh my god. So that was fun. Sirius XM too. My wife was she's got Sirius XM in her car. So she
Mm-hmm.
was
I
like,
think that's
when
another. It's almost like a requirement these days instead of the old AM, FM, CD, cassette
Right?
back in the day, 8 track, going back to dads and grandpas and all that. So it's like,
Yeah.
everybody's having Sirius XM nowadays.
Well, my wife is cute as hell, and just because I'm biased don't mean I'm wrong. She's cute as hell, but she's like, well, "When's it coming on?" I'm like, "Well, baby, I don't know.
But you know what,
I
though?
have
It's
no
like if
idea."
you want it on, play it on your phone,
Yeah,
your iPhone,
right.
your Android, smartphone,
Yeah,
Samsung, play it
right.
right here.
Yeah, I said, darling, all I know is that they said it's going to be played. I'm not sure when they're going to play it. So,
Right. Yeah. Unless, you program 5, 10, 20 in advance. Well, I
right.
guess that's up to Sirius XM will do that. So,
Well, after this interview on the world famous Mike Wagner show, I can expect that we're going to get played every hour on Sirius XM because they're going to go, "Oh my God!" Right? That's
yep.
exactly what's going to happen.
And
I know
seriously,
it.
folks, that's going to happen. Seriously. Yes.
Right on. Yeah,
But
that's
listen,
all we're doing, Mike. I mean, we're just videos, media, trying to drive interest and book gigs. That's it. You know.
okay. All right, that sounds great. We're here with the multi-talented John Hudak of Brickwall Jackson here on Mike Wagner Show. John, a very big thank you time. You're always amazing.
Yeah.
Looking forward to having you soon. Keep us up to date. Keep in touch. We're definitely love to have you back. Once again, what's the website? How do people contact you? Where can people purchase or check out your music?
Well, all the digital outlets again, iTunes, Amazon, Google Music, Google Play, and www.brickwalljackson.com, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, you name it, we're there. And we're real big in Brazil right now. I
Nice.
I didn't see I didn't see that one coming, but hey, whatever, man, I'll take
You got,
it.
yeah, you got that right. And once again, what's the website?
www.brickwalljackson.com.
All right. Well, certainly check that out. Once again, John, a very big thank you time. You're always amazing. Looking forward to having you
Thanks,
again
man.
soon. Keep us up to date. Keep in touch. Love you back. Wish all the best. And John, as always, you definitely have a great future ahead of you.
Thanks, buddy. You too. Talk soon.